Welcome to Dear Romance Writer. We're three writers who always deliver happily ever afters, offer questionable advice for all of your relationship, work, and life problems. I'm Zio Axelrod.
I'm Avery Flynn.
And I'm Roan Parrish. We've got a great show for you today with the fabulous AC Arthur. Tell us a little bit about yourself, AC.
Hey, she just said I'm AC. I'm also Lacey Baker.
That's
I
right,
have
yes.
lots of multiple personalities going on here. Every time somebody says, tell us a little bit about yourself, I'm always like, well, there's nothing to tell because I'm just me. And I expect everybody to just know that I'm just me. But I am an author. I'm actually two authors in one. I'm a mother of three, a nana to two, a dog mama to one very stubborn English bulldog. In addition to my writer jobs, I also work as a judicial assistant in the federal court system. I'm sort of like a jack of all trades, a Jill of all trades, a jack of all trades. Jack of all trades sounds better. I know Jill of all trades is politically correct, but I still like how jack of all trades sounds, so I'm going to stick with that.
And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that if you work in the federal courthouse system, that you are a take no shit person.
You kind of have to be. You have to be. You have to be. But I think I do it in a pretty nice way. Well, actually, the judge I work for is like, yeah, no, you're not really nice. But
that's just he doesn't understand how mean you could be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're like, I am actually. You don't know.
I mean, I tried my best, and he's like, yeah, no, was that your best? Like, really? But it works. It works. It helps him all the time. So
I have to.
No sense in stopping.
For people who aren't watching this on YouTube, you're missing out on the gorgeous hair color that AC has. Which, like, Avery and AC are kind of going in the same direction here. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know.
This is got like two radiant red guys.
Yeah.
And we're like in a little X.
This is my fall color. It's usually more red in the spring. It's funny, over the weekend I was in North Carolina, and we were going back into the hotel one night, and a girl is walking towards me, and her hair is like really, really red. And she says, "Oh, we have the same color hair." And I was like, "Oh my God, is my hair really that bright?" Like, I was like, it's like, Lord. And then she had like dye like all down her neck and her shoulders. And I was like, and so when I get back to the room, I'm all in the bathroom, like looking
checking,
in the mirror, like,
yeah. Am I good? Am I good?
Right.
That is the worst part about the red hair, though.
Yes.
Is the bloody towels.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like you murdered somebody from the hair dye.
Or your pillowcase.
That's like my nightmare.
Yeah.
And one day I had it
really pretty.
One day I had so much in my ear, I thought my ear was bleeding, and I was really,
really
about to call the doctor, because I'm in the bathroom, I wash my face, and I'm cleaning out my ears, and I look at the rag, and I'm like, oh Lord, I done bust the eardrum or something, and I'm ready to call 911. But it was just hair dye. So.
Oh gee, that would have terrified me. I would have been so scared. When I put that purple wax in my hair this year, that stuff was coming out in my brushes and combs for like a month. Like, it's supposed to wash. It washed out right away. It wasn't in my. I didn't see it in my hair, but every time,
everything.
It was on my fingers everywhere, and I was like, "Where is this coming from?" So yeah,
I remember being a teenager and using like manic panic.
Yeah.
And doing it in the middle of the night when my parents were asleep, and I was like, "I'm so stealth. No one's ever gonna know." And then the next time I took a shower, I didn't know it was gonna happen. And I looked down and watched as the entire, like, the grout on the shower turned purple. And I was like, my parents are going to murder me. So I was there with like a toothbrush and like bleach trying to destroy it.
Gosh.
It took 10 years to fix it, probably.
When I worked at Hot Topic, I heard so many manic panic disaster stories, but never the grout turning purple.
Wait. You worked at Hot Topic?
Yes, ma'am.
This is my new favorite thing ever.
I also managed a skate shop. There's a lot you don't know about me, Avery.
That's because you have like a whole like separate, like, I don't know, secret life. Somewhere she's killed at least 3 people with her thumb. So
well, don't tell me, because
I'm
known for not keeping secrets of that type, because I don't have any desire to go to jail for anybody.
Right.
There you go.
Once you tell me that, then I have to be a witness. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, wait, hold on. That actually gives us a perfect chat topic for this week. Just for right now, before the letter chat. And that is, are you a good secret keeper or you're a bad secret keeper? I am also a bad secret keeper.
I thought you were going to be like, chat, who would you go to jail for?
Who would you go to jail for?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Are you the person that helped burn the body?
Yeah, but no, this is.
Who would you go to jail for? I'm never going to tell you people that. What are you talking about? Yeah. Nice try. You didn't fool me.
Depends on what the secret is.
Yeah, and who it's about.
Who it's for.
Yeah.
Like I can keep business secrets. Like if you call me and say, hey, I need to talk to you about something, like, and it's industry wise or something like that. Like I'm not going to share that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're telling me something that's like illegal, I'm really afraid of going to jail. And so I'm never going to keep that secret. And I'm going to tell you right up front, you should probably stop right now.
You probably walk away.
Let's just hang up and end this conversation because I'm going to tell.
I like that. Now, see, Roan, you hit me as a very good secret keeper.
I'm a very good secret keeper. I have secrets about myself and others that I've kept since elementary school and will never tell. I delight in having secrets. I don't find it difficult to keep them at all. They feel like tiny little fireballs of power that I hoard within myself and
love you so much
through the world.
Oh God,
that needs to be like on a t-shirt somewhere. I delight in
Give
having
me your secrets. Give me your secrets. And more power.
Like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have described it that way, but yeah, it is sort of like
it is power.
Or it's power, but for me, it also, I think, especially when someone confides in me, I feel, I don't want to say worthy, but like I have there's some value, some other value that I offer that I didn't know I had. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm somebody's confidant. That's like with a capital C, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like that's like a relationship-y, whatever, friendship-y
That
thing.
is a level up.
Level up. Yes, thank you. That's perfect. Yes, level up.
And it does kind of seal the relationship. Like if you were just, generally, like we're just meeting up in the lunchroom and we're just chit-chatting. But the minute you confide in me about something, then we're like all friends.
Yeah.
Like we have a whole, this relationship has a whole title now.
Yeah.
And I feel like that what you're describing, Zio, to me is that kind of like that thing where they say it's a real power move and you can make people indebted to you by telling them a secret or by confessing a weakness or asking for help, because it's like people do feel really honored and they feel really like, oh, you look at me and see someone trustworthy and you want me to keep your secrets. That must mean you think I'm like better than you somehow. Not really, but like, you are.
That's very Machiavellian. Yeah,
that is.
And so even though I don't think about it that way when like in my real life, if someone tells me a secret, I feel like they are there's social capital in those relationships in a way that like I'd be lying if I said I wasn't aware of it.
I could see
that. Yeah.
All right. Well, since we are on friendships here and all that good stuff, that kind of brings us to our letter. It actually did serve a somewhat decent transition there. There we go. Points for us.
We pulled this one because we need more letters from our listeners. Please write to us. We want to help you. We actually don't suck at it. We have some pretty good advice, even though it can be questionable at times. But we did pull this one from Am I the Asshole on Reddit because it's just a treasure trove of screwed up relationships. So this one is, hey, it starts, hey, so that's always good. I'm 28 female, my husband 31 male, and I just moved back to our hometown after 3 years of living out of state. Most of our old friends still live here. So we bought a home and we're trying to throw a housewarming party for this fall. It will be the first time we get all of our friends together at the same time since before we moved away. I had the idea that I wanted this get together to be like old times, free of responsibility and just a ton of fun. There will likely be heavy drinking and cannabis usage. We live in a legal state. And perhaps some irresponsible behavior, but our home can accommodate folks that want to stay the night. For all these reasons, I thought it best to make it a child-free gig. Here we go. I can always see where this is going. My husband and I are child-free by choice. We just have other goals for our life together at this time, but we're super happy and supportive of our friends and family that have decided to have kids. We think it's so exciting and we love meeting each of their little ones. We have zero problem with kids/babies. We just wanted something different for our party. So I made an Facebook group for the party. At the bottom of the event description, I wrote, kindly, this is a no kids event. As much as we love your little ones, let's consider this a 21 plus party. We understand if you can only stay a few hours. We would love to see you and party like old times. Kiss, kiss, end quote. Not an hour later, I get a text from a close friend who had her first baby last year. Her text was, quote, not sure. Hubby and I will make it with no kids policies. Sorry, we have our hands full, end quote. Before I could respond, I got another text from her. Quote, in fact, I would recommend rethinking that. Some of us have adult responsibilities now and can't just drop everything to live like college kids again. It's just different, end quote. This is me adding voices to this. I'm not sure if she was trying to get a dig at me. She knows I'm child free.
She's but not now sure about that?
Yeah. But now I feel bad. Womp womp. I wasn't trying to inconvenience anyone. I just didn't think this environment would be suitable for kids. Maybe I was out of line to ask, but I also don't appreciate the implication that I, quote unquote, live like a college kid just because I want a child-free party. Should I change it to include kids? No. But that's just my 2 cents. Wow. Yeah. Also that I've had this situation, but I've had the situation. Go ahead.
No. I think I pulled this from Am I the Asshole? And part of why I thought it would be so interesting is because we are a mix of child-free and having kids in, different life stages and all of that stuff. So I don't know if any of us are going to disagree though. So I'm really interested in seeing this. But yeah, I think the letter writer handled it very maturely, especially for somebody who's supposedly a college kid. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. That's okay.
Yeah.
And they were pretty cool about, letting people know up front, hey, this is the thing. And they were also very cool, I thought, about the fact they even thought about that.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't just assume that everybody would be okay with their kids hanging around with adults who were drinking or smoking weed or doing whatever. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think mommy is a little bitchy here and in the wrong. And I say that as somebody with 3 kids who's had to deal with invitations that sometimes have been like, hey, this is a no kids thing or this is a kids thing. It's not like a wedding, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a big like family event, right? And then I would be like, well, that's kind of weird. But the fact that you're like, hey, this is a housewarming party and we're all gonna get drunk, probably,
and smoke weed and bring your kids. Like, it's just, and the fact that they were like, you should probably change this entire theme of your party and premise of your party just to accommodate me, basically, is what their response was. And I was like, oh no.
Well, I'm trying to figure out why you would even want to take your infant to that.
Exactly.
Like, why do you look? I mean, I was never like, I was never, we didn't go anywhere with that. When we had, when our kids were younger, we didn't go anywhere. We kind of don't go anywhere now that they're older either, but I digress. We did not always take our kids when we were invited somewhere. If it was somewhere family, then we always just knew that was everybody. Kids were going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But we were never offended if somebody said, this is an adult party. That was just all the more reason for us to find a babysitter and go to this adult party and be an adult and not have somebody spitting up on you or asking you to do something for them. Like, I would think you would need that little break. Plus, I think it's kind of rude to come back and say, expect somebody to include your kids in everything, especially if you know that this couple does not have children. Like, why would you expect them to accommodate children?
Yeah,
right. I totally agree. And I think that is my biggest irritation with this, is that it just so clearly comes from such a heteronormative lens to me. Like it comes from a lens of someone who, like this woman, I don't think wants to bring her kids to the party. I think she wants this person to change the whole party from something that she wants to something that's like family friendly in general. Like have your party in the afternoon and have there be no drugs and I don't know, play pin the tail on whatever kids pin the tail on. I don't know. Like, I think she actually is offended that this friend is throwing a party that is not kid friendly in the first place. And that happened because she has kids now. And she's like, I am following the path that traditionally society sets out for heterosexual couples. And because that's the quote unquote normal path, of course you are doing something that's like deviating from the norm. So why should I be expected to change my plans? You should change and accommodate me. And that, I think, like as someone who is a queer, bi, childless by choice, I mean, it happens so often. And I don't think it's generally ill-intentioned. It's just ignorant. You know, like it's not someone trying to make you feel bad. It's usually just someone who like has so wholesale bought into this, like, first you date someone, then you get married, then you have kids, and then everyone's having kids around you. So everyone agrees that our lives change together. And if you're not on that same track, you're like, actually, no, that was not a document that I ever signed acknowledging that was what my life would look like. So I bet this is
you didn't get that in 6th grade when they separated you for health class?
I know, I didn't get it.
Damn, fail.
It wasn't in my packet. So yeah, I feel like this is like a bigger issue actually than just the party. And I would bet that this is an issue that's going to come up again and again between those two friends. And I think, like, I agree with what you said, Avery. I think that the person who's throwing the party handled it really well and was like very polite and gave everyone a good opportunity. And I bet that, like, little by little, if they stay childless by choice, they're going to have this happen over and over until eventually they're going to have to say, like, a thing that a lot of us have to say to friends and loved ones with children, which is like, hey, I love you. I respect your friendship. My life does not center around your children. And I would really appreciate it if you could make your children your problem and not mine, because I'm not responsible for them, period.
Yeah.
I mean, just having small children having small children in your house when you don't have children, everything is a hazard. You know, the bar, the speaker, everything, like pens laying around, like everything is a hazard. And to put somebody in a position where they have to childproof their house so that you can come to a party, it's like, what? Yeah,
that's a little crazy. I think there's a couple of things that could be going on as well, sort of like under the level of things. You know, I agree with you, Roan. I think this is going to come up probably quite often. I can't imagine how often it comes up, because I had my first at like 25, you know, years ago. So, but I will say though, I wonder how much as well, sounds like she and her partner are the only ones who left their hometown. And if the hometown functions like most small towns or many small towns, then there's a whole like weird level of resentment that happens for the people who leave. And sometimes when they, you know, and if they come back, I don't know why, I can't explain it. It just is. So that could factor into some of it as well. And also sometimes I think and I think this is a very human thing, when you leave a situation or you leave a group of friends, those people are sort of crystallized in your head as what they were.
Right.
So it is an adjustment when you've got, hey, these people are crystallized in my head as X, and I move back to town and now they're Y, and they're holding down 2 jobs. And to get a babysitter costs, you know, $20 an hour, and, you know, something obnoxious like that, especially if you have multiple kids, it really, a night out starts at a car payment, basically. It's atrocious. You know, so that may factor into things as well. So, I mean, there's that, I think. And then I think there is a weird dynamic between folks who are childless by choice and people who have kids. And I think it goes like everything else in life, it goes on a spectrum. I think you go all the way from the people who have kids and those kids become their identity, right? That is a big extreme. And then you've got, you know, sort of the other end of things where it's people who who do not have kids and then cannot understand that sometimes there are accommodations that need to be made for kids. I think you brought up a really good point about that childproofing of a house thing. First time I brought my kids to my mother's house, okay, she obviously had kids. There was, with toddlers, there were so many like crazy, like hard, like stuff that was
just the edges of tables, like yeah.
But no, it was like things they could fling. It was like stones.
That's like
right?
Yeah.
And like
projectiles, the entire house.
Yeah, it's projectiles everywhere. And I'm a bad mom, so my kids are all completely wild. So I was like, oh my God, Mom, they're gonna kill your house and each other and possibly you. So there's that. Or I remember one of the very first super stressful times I had as a parent with a non-parent was I was with somebody whose child was by choice, and we were looking for a place to go have lunch. And I had I think Ava was like 2 at the time, screaming in the backseat because she was so hungry. She could not wait anymore. And we were having to go from place to place to place to find something that the other person would agree to eat at. I was like, oh my God, I can't take this. Okay, they're 2. They have an excuse. Please just pick something. And I finally just had to just say, no, we're not going to drive around anymore. This is where we're eating. Sorry. Wow. So, I mean, there are extremes that we go to. I like to think that most people are more towards the middle. Like, I think the letter writer sounds to me where she's like trying to set boundaries, trying to be polite, trying to be as accommodating as possible for folks. And, but yeah, there are extremes on that end. And we need to be empathetic to each other in different circumstances.
I think sometimes people don't understand that, it's a choice. Like, you don't have to go to the party, and you don't really have to offer an excuse why you're not going to the party. Like, yeah, I'm not coming. Like, you didn't even really have to get into the whole, some of us have children, blah, 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 except that I felt like she just wanted to to
dig.
Yeah, I mean, she wanted to do that.
There was that second text. Like, she responded, and then she responded again. Saying, I think you should change everything.
And see, that would put her firmly on the no invite ever again list.
Seriously.
For me, like, seriously, this is the last. Even if I have a whole ton of kids and start having kids' birthday parties, you're not coming because you don't know how to act.
Yeah.
Because you could have just said, no, we're not going to make it. That's what I would have said. No, we're not going to make it. Like, that's just it. I don't have to give you, I don't owe you an excuse for why I'm not coming. Right. And I'm certainly not going to tell you to change your party just so that I can come. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, I don't really enjoy parties. It's not, I like talking to people one-on-one. I get very overwhelmed at them. People invite me to be polite, even though they know that I don't love them. And like, sometimes I'll go and they're happy and that's nice, but I would never, if someone invited me to a party, I would never be like, oh gosh, I actually hate parties. Would you cancel it and we could just have dinner, the 2 of us instead? Like, what kind of entitled bullshit is that? Like, please change the thing that you have invited me to as your guest to a thing where like it's all about me. I think that's outrageous. I wanted to, what you were saying reminded me of something, Avery, about money that I think is so important. Like, I think that it's right on to point out like how expensive it can get a babysitter and all of those things. And one of the things that I think, so I totally agree with that. And also I think that although of course no one should ever be spending money that they don't have to get a babysitter to go to a party that is not important to them. I do feel like this is partly on that same issue that I was talking about the kind of like normal, quote unquote, normal road that people go on, because I cannot tell you how much money I have spent over the years going to weddings, buying baby presents, going to showers for 40 friends, so much money, because there are like things that you have to do to go to these socially sanctioned events. And I've never had one, and I probably won't have one, and that's fine. And I don't want one. But if this childless by choice couple went to the wedding of that other friend, went to a baby shower, got their kids like a book for their first birthday or whatever, which like we all do, I think that it's, of course, this person should not spend money if they don't have it. That goes without saying. But I think like the social attitude that it's a choice to go to a party, but like, of course, you're expected to go to a wedding. Like, of course, it's a choice. And also, I think it behooves folks to remember that like there are people in your life who you've never spent that money on. Like you've never spent that money on their wedding or their child's graduation or the Christmas whatever cards for all those people. And so maybe if someone has a party that you're not that into, like you should go ahead and drop $100 because they spent $1,000 over the last 10 years of your friendship on your socially sanctioned events and those of your children.
Good point. You didn't think of that way.
Well, I know as a kid, you know, a child of the 80s, babysitting at like 10, caring for, you know, small infants as one did in the 80s. You know, we used to do like group babysitting deals.
Oh yeah, my neighbors do that.
The parents would go in and, you know, there'd be like 1 or 2 babysitters for these 7 kids, and you watch cartoons and ate popcorn and, you know, stop people from eating their boogers. So there are options, there are things that you can do, but yeah, I think a lot of it just comes down to, you know, stop being an asshole who thinks the world revolves around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone else from that friend group texted, or if it was just this one person. Because when she was saying it, I thought she was going to say, and then I started getting other people started responding too, but it seemed to have been
with their kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one.
And you know, just as I think AC said it really well about, you know, the fact that if you can't do something for whatever reason, whether you're broke, you don't want to go because your kids can't go, you whatever, you just don't want to go, you don't actually have to tell people.
Yeah.
You could just say, hey, thanks for the invite. Really love, you know, thank you for thinking about me, but I'm a no-go for that.
I mean, they just
and
had
if
a
somebody's
newborn.
if somebody's not a friend, if somebody is a friend, that's okay. They might follow up with, oh, really, I'm bummed because I wanted to see you and all that, but that's okay.
It's not like this is the only time they'll ever be able to get together. They just moved back there. So this whole response is just passive aggressive.
It's a little over the top.
Or aggressive. It's not even passive, it's just aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of get-togethers, I love to eat at get-togethers. So food, I thought it would be fun to chat a little bit about comfort food. Ooh. And what is your favorite, and what memories does it evoke that make it meaningful for you?
You only have one comfort food, or are you considered greedy if you have more than one comfort food?
When it comes to food, I don't believe in greed. So yeah.
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing. Food is yummy. Food feeds your soul. All right, Roan, and you know I thought of you a lot with this.
I know. I was just thinking whatever Roan makes is my comfort food.
What you get? Oh my God. What are you making us?
I love I have so many. I mean, food is a comfort for me in general. So comfort food is just like extra comfort. I mean, probably my all-time biggest comfort food is baked mac and cheese. I love it so much. I make a million different varieties of it. My favorite one is like with it's really spicy cornbread topping with bacon crumbled on top is probably my favorite variation. But I love it so much, like creamy, crunchy, rich, warm. It's great leftover the next morning for breakfast. Start your day off right. But one of my cheese.
Avery's gagging over there. It's cheese. You don't have cheese at breakfast?
Bread and cheese.
Bread and cheese.
But I have memories about it. Comfort food, or like I have thoughts about it. Is you know that sour cream and onion dip that you can get in the can, like with the pull off top, like a can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hers. When I was in college, I lived for junior and senior year, I lived with 2 of my best friends, and we lived like half a mile from the local gas station, which was in Lancaster County. Speaking of your leaf peeping that we were talking about before.
I have a prop I have to show you later. Go ahead.
Oh my God, I love it. So I went to college in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and there was Turkey Hill was the brand of gas station, and they had 2 things that were just always amazing. One was that sour cream and onion dip that came in the top, and the other was blue raspberry slushies. And so my friends and I would get like things of that sour cream and onion dip with, you got to get the like Ruffles with ridges potato chips, so they're hefty enough to stand
a
up.
hearty chip.
A hearty, exactly.
Yeah.
And a blue raspberry slushie, and it was like sweet and salty, and it was the perfect combination. And every time I even catch a whiff of sour cream and onion dip, I'm like
transported back.
Yeah. And it makes me want a blue raspberry slushie.
Because you can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
Complete the memory.
Yeah. So good.
I think mine would be meatloaf. I think.
Ooh.
And only because it's really good. And I can't make it myself. And I don't like it in restaurants. So the only time I eat it is when my mother makes it. And so every time I have her make it for me now, since I'm clearly not in her house. But whenever I call her and like, hey, I really would like some meatloaf, she makes it. And it's funny because then there's like this tit for tat thing. It's like, oh, okay, well, are you going to make me some seafood mac and cheese? Like, ma'am, can you just deliver the meatloaf? Like every time now, it's like this whole tit for tat. But when I get it, and I eat it, I'm always transported back to that little girl sitting in the dining room. I can smell in the morning when she starts to bake this meatloaf, and it just takes me all the way back home. And I'm very, very nostalgic. And so anytime I eat meatloaf, I'm always thinking of being back home, even though it's so weird. I never want to move back home, but it's just that feeling of when you were younger and you didn't have bills to pay and kids to take care of, dogs to feed, like that feeling.
Yeah. That's a good feeling.
Mine is, we've talked about it before, is egg custard. And you guys are like, why do you like egg custard? And it's funny because we went to Lancaster County, as Roan was saying. Mr. X and I went leaf peeping, and we stopped. I forgot to show you this. We stopped at this like Amish farm stand where they have these apples, and we wanted to, because apple season, you get all the different apples instead of just like the 3 that we get in the supermarket. This is a crispin apple the size of my head.
I was gonna say, it's like, is that like organic? Because it's huge. Like,
it's huge. And we were like,
massive.
what? Yeah, all of the apples were this size, and we got some pears. We made like a pear tart this weekend, but I also bought a little thing of egg custard that they had, because when I moved to the UK, I didn't have much money, and so I lived on really weird things like egg custard tarts and pot noodles, which is like cup of noodles type thing. And like I couldn't afford tea, but they had this thing called QT, which is like a powdered tea milk sugar mix that you just add water to, and like biscuits. Like I would have like my part of the cupboard in my house share was like like college kids food. But my treat whenever I got my pay packet was egg custard tarts or egg custard. And so like that was like my comfort at the end of the 2-week pay period. I would get my custard tarts and like put my name on, like, nobody touched these, and they knew not to touch them. So whenever I see custard, and now I make them, but now whenever I see custard, I'm like, let me try their custard and see if it reminds me of that. Very few do, because it's a very specific texture.
Yeah.
But this one is like this is like I walked into Tesco's on the high street and bought some custard tarts and stuff. It's so good. So I've been like eating it by tiny spoonfuls since I bought it, because I don't want it to go away, because it's so good. But yeah, I don't know
your
why.
sense of restraint. I would have just been like face deep right away.
Yeah. I just would have finished it and just had the memory.
I'm a hoarder. I still have Easter candy.
Oh,
like I have Cadbury mini chocolate eggs, the dark chocolate ones, because you can only get them once a year. So I buy like 3 bags and I keep one until like it's close to the expiration date, and then I start eating them. Like,
I was getting ready to say, I'm real nervous about, like this might expire, and so like I'll buy candy for one season. Like we had all the Halloween candy, and like November 2nd, I was like, all right, we got to throw this away. And they're like, there's nothing wrong with it. And I was like, yeah, but Halloween's over, so that means the candy must be bad.
Oh,
they're like, it's not bad. They're still selling it in the store. I'm like, well, they sell anything in the store. So
that's true.
Like that's
there's
not
Best Buy and there's used by. Best Buy means that the flavor starts to go away. Used by means if you don't use it by then, toss it.
Oh no, I'll be tossing all kinds of stuff. I just like,
no.
Look, this is
my stepmom is like that. She's like, oh, it's getting close to the date. Throw it away.
Like my mother will have stuff in the freezer. She's like, oh, you can freeze it. Like you freeze everything. If we don't eat all of something from Thanksgiving dinner, like it'll be February. And she's like, oh yeah, I took that out the freezer. I had it. I was like, you had that since November?
I have birthday cake in the freezer.
She's like, it's frozen. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No,
it's in my mind. I'm like,
I pulled chicken curry out of my freezer today and went, oh, I didn't realize I still have this. Awesome.
I've got birthday cake in
the bag. Popped it out. I'm like, now I don't have to cook dinner.
I have to freeze up this, like Mr. X doesn't eat cake. And so like, remember Roan made me a cake a couple of years ago, this beautiful mocha chocolate. It was just amazing, but it was just me. There's no way I was going to eat that entire cake in like, so I cut it into slices and put the slices in the freezer. So I would just pull one out of it.
I'm disappointed in you. You couldn't finish that cake. That's sad.
I know. I could have eaten that in a hot weekend, but I do.
I'm like, you know
what? Things, you. I like it.
That's good. So my comfort food, I have one that doesn't have memory and the one that does. All I remember on my big major comfort food is just that I love it more than life. And okay, in the Midwest, sorry for anyone with delicate ears, we call it shit on a shingle. And it is cream chip beef over toast. It is not good for you in any way. And it's delicious and I love it. And it is like the thing that always makes me feel better. You love it?
I've seen that before. I do not actually know what creamed chipped beef is. Can you describe?
Me either.
I just always think of like corned beef in a cream sauce.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I don't know.
I couldn't.
My husband
or brisket in a cream sauce or something like that. Like I don't know how to describe
it is delicious. And the serving packets from Stouffer's, because that's as close as I can get to it, says it's for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 people. No, that's mine. And when I buy it, I pour it over 2 pieces of toast and I eat the whole thing and I'm very, very happy. So there you go. So there's that one. And then if you love me, you send me chip beef. Cream. I'll provide the toast. I'm fancy. And then I love deviled eggs. Deviled eggs were always like
good.
They're delicious, and they were always at, if not every, it seemed like every like family gathering we had. And we lived way apart from like everybody else that was in our family, so it was always a treat to get to go see everybody else. So that was a big one for me. So I love deviled eggs.
They're good. They get a bad rep. I don't know why. They're always like the joke food in like comedy and stuff. They're good.
I love them.
I love most egg dishes, so I
just
love them. My husband eats cream chipped beef. He takes that little Stouffer's packet to work for his lunch, and he's always putting his little 2 slices of bread in his little plastic bag, taking it to work. And I never knew that it was called shit on a shingle. But I tell you what, the very next time he makes it, I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say it. Just as he takes the first bite, I'm gonna say it.
In polite company, not that y'all aren't polite company, but in polite company, we call it SOS.
No, I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna straight out say it, and I'm sure he's gonna look at me like I've lost my mind. But
there you go. Well, thank you. Now that we are all hungry, right. I have to tell you guys a little bit about are part of Dear Romance Writers, part of the Frolic Podcast Network, which is an awesome, very fun group to be a part of. We wanted to tell you a little bit about one of our fellow podcasts that are here on the network with us, and that is Feminists Without Mystique.
I love that.
It is a podcast where 2 best friends process politics, sex, and the unrelenting fire hose of bullshit in the news through an unapologetically feminist lens. Each week, they begin by venting about the news. This sounds like our conversations before we start recording. Venting about the news. Then they go deep on one important issue and then call out terrible things happening below the top headlines in a segment called We See You. I love that. And then they end with something hopeful, much like a romance novel. They give you the happy at the end. So there you go. You can check them out. It again is Feminists Without Mystique. It is a podcast, and they drop new episodes every Wednesday.
Oh, check them out.
That sounds great. I haven't listened yet, but I'm excited too.
Yeah.
Well, I love a good vent.
Oh no, I love it.
Really? No.
Yeah, who would have thought?
I think we may have come to the end of our episode here. So I want to thank you, AC Arthur, so much for being with us. Do you want to let our listeners know one more time, like, where can we find you on social media? Do you have a book out or coming out that you want to
tell us about your
about
new book.
that.
That gorgeous cover that you guys have to go find.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
You gotta look it up.
I'm sorry. So yeah, I do. I just had a release, The After Party, which is, it's not technically my first women's fiction. I wrote women's fiction 100 years ago, so I'm calling it my new debut, women's fiction,
Nice.
which is a little different, well, a lot different from the romance that I usually write. And it was inspired by two movies that I really, really love, 9 to 5 and Girls Trip.
Oh, cool.
Oh, what a great mix.
I love the friendship in both of the stories.
Mhm.
I felt like Girls Trip gave me a much deeper look into the friendship, but every time I watch 9 to 5, I've always wondered, like, what happened later? Like, what happened? You know, they give you this little snippet about 6 months later here, whatever. But did they stay friends forever? Did they keep meeting up at the bar for happy hour? You know, did they talk about killing another boss? And so I wanted to write a story like that. Like, I wanted to write a story where it just went a little bit further than your boss is a creep and now he's dead. And so that's what I did with The After Party, and I'm so excited about its release.
That's fantastic.
I'm excited about the cover, and I wish I could show you, but it's on Amazon, or you can visit my site, acarthur.com. And I'm everywhere on social media as AC Arthur Books.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to read it, and the cover is gorgeous. Everyone should go check it out.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving such great advice. And thank you to everyone listening for hanging out with us for another episode of Dear Romance Writer. Remember, send us your questions. I'm not kidding. Send us
your questions.
Give us your questions. Give us your problems.
At dearromancewriter.com and fill out our anonymous form. With your question, you can hit us up on any social media platform and DM us or IM us. We would love, love, love to hear any questions that you have. So we cannot wait to give you some more questionable advice from this trio, actually foursome today, of happily ever after enthusiasts. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you so much for subscribing to Dear Romance Writer. Remember to keep sending in those letters at dearromancewriter.com. We can't wait to tell you what to do. Dear Romance Writer is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Find more podcasts you'll love, frolic.media/podcasts.